And we're live.
So, which one of us is going to be Haslam, Butler, or Spoelstra today? Where are we going with this one?
I'm gonna be Lowry. I'm gonna get up out of the huddle and walk to the other side of the room. Like I'm like.
I was about to be like, I'm out.
I'm out of here. You guys work that shit out.
All right. Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in onto the point with
Skip
and the King. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe. We're still waiting for our 4th subscriber to give away this Raptors too. Winter's almost over. Don't know if it's going to work for you. Maybe you can wear it in the summer as a beanie. Maybe you can wear it next winter. Who knows? Still fresh out the box, ready for you. We are going to pick you randomly with your comments, your subscribes, and your likes. Today, we have the one and only, my man. I wanted to say something else, but Kenyon Nisbett. How are you doing today? You are a great friend of the show, and we love having you come on for your insight because you are out there, you know what's going on, and a lot of people that do watch the show do love your commentary. How are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Anytime. You already know what it is. So let's get into this. Right now, the Raptors your Toronto Raptors are currently sitting 7th in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yep.
Technically, they're in the play-in, but where they're sitting, they can go forward. They can actually probably, like, with the schedule coming, they could probably actually catch the 4th seed. So, Kenyon, I don't know
about that.
It's mathematically possible, Skip.
Okay.
But, Kenyon, based on where the Toronto Raptors are sitting at the 7th seed, where do you see them going? Do you think they continue at the 7th seed and stick in the play-in tournament? Or do you think that they can crack that 6th seed and be directly in the playoffs?
So I just want to say, at the beginning of the season, I predicted 6.
So did I.
I'm sticking with that. So yeah, I think that the Raptors can get the 6th seed. There's a chance that they do end up in the 5th. In the 5th seed, but likely not. And I think that there's a chance that they end up in the 7th, but I think that they end up in the 6th. If you look at a couple different things, the Bulls are actually last place in terms of records against the top 3 in each conference. 0-16 for the Bulls. The Raptors are number 1, so we are 10-5, and
yes.
The Cavs are middle of the pack, 4-11. So if you look at strength of schedule and a couple things like that I'm sure we'll get into later, I think that we can definitely end up in the 6th seed.
Oh, Skip. So now let me ask you, with all the looming injuries and the setbacks that have happened this year, we got right now Freddie, OG, Malachi, Utah still hasn't really recovered. Pascal was injured.
Gary Trent's got a sprained toe.
And Gary Trent as well. Even despite the fact with all these looming injuries, and the Raptors are still holding 7th in a tight Eastern Conference, do you think they can be the 6th team in the Eastern Conference?
So it's all going to come down to this game tonight. Obviously, we're filming on Thursday afternoon. The Raptors play Cleveland tonight. If they win that game, they're in a virtual tie for 6th. Obviously, the issue here is that they don't have the tiebreaker over either Cleveland or Chicago. So even if they tie them tonight, you still have to outrun them over the last 9 games of the season. If you lose this game tonight, you're 2 games back with 9 to go and no tiebreaker. So you're in a world of trouble if you're trying to catch the 6th seed or even the 5th seed. I think if you win the game tonight, there's a shot at 6. But even if you do win tonight, it's going to be tough because you got to remember every time you see the Raptors are a game back at Cleveland, 2 games back at Chicago, that's actually more like a game and a half or 2.5 games because you don't have the tiebreaker in either of those situations. And as far as I know, for seeding, it just comes down to tiebreakers, right? There's no play-in game for a seeding spot. So at the end of the day, I think probability-wise, I think we're more likely to see the Raptors stay in 7th. That's not to say that I think the Raptors are a worse team than Chicago or Cleveland. I think you can definitely make an argument that at their best, at their healthiest, they've shown that they are better than either of those two teams. But the standings don't care about that stuff, right? The standings just care about who won more games, who lost more games. And I think it's really easy to forget how short a time period 10 games is, right? So if you're 2 games back of Chicago with 10 games left and no tiebreaker, that means, like, let's just do a thought experiment. Okay, if the Bulls go 6-4, the Raptors have to go. No, the Raptors have to go 9-1. They have to outpace them by 3 games in 10 games. Like, they're not going to win this 5 seed by being an okay team, by winning most of the games they're supposed to win. Obviously, they have the better strength of schedule, so there is that there's a good reason to expect them to maybe outperform these teams slightly, but you got to outperform them by 2 or 3 games over a very short span of time, and that's a little tougher than it looks. So yeah, I think it's a little tougher than it looks, but it's still in play, obviously. And if they win that game tonight, they've got a real shot.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. The Raptors. Okay, can I just say something here, guys?
Yeah.
Like you touched on, Kenyon, with the Raptors being 10-5 against the top teams. Yes, shout out to my man Robert that pointed that out to me, right? Our buddy. But they do have a problem against lower seeded teams. And if you look at it over the stretch of the next 10 games, they are playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are below 500.
Yeah.
Right? And not to mention the looming injuries, the tight bench, right? That they do currently have. I still have faith and a belief as a non-Raptors fan that they can make it to the 6th seed and keep it in the 6th. Okay? Now, based on what we've seen, guys, this has been pretty interesting to me. Okay? Who can they play if they do make it to the 6th seed, and how far do you guys think they can make it in the playoffs? Kenyon?
Well, first off, I want to say we're done with Detroit for the rest of the season. So there is a chance. There is a chance. I agree. We play up to the level of our competition. And so for that reason, I think that in a playoff scenario, we are going to be the team that, and you've heard it not just, you're not going to just hear it here, but you've heard it from different players of other teams. We are the team that no one wants to face. We are the annoying team that no one wants to face. We will be a tough out for really anyone. So the potential matchups are most likely the 76ers, the Bucks, the Celtics. Again, Chicago, I don't think that they can get back up to where they were. And I think that they'll still, keep falling a little bit, partly because Lonzo Ball is behind in his rehab right now. And he's a huge piece, just as huge of a piece as Mr. Caruso. Yeah. So I to me, I think that we're going to be a tough out. And sorry, I think the question was kind of like, how would we do? Or was it more, who would we face?
More of like, who would we face? Because right now, I said we. Oh my God, the Raptors are in 7th, and the way it stands is that if the Raptors do beat Brooklyn, they will end up against the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round.
But that's all
so again,
right?
You're the 76ers, the Bucks, and the Celtics. I have a sneaking suspicion that we end up barely making it because one of our last games will be against Chicago, I believe, because of that delayed game from back in the season, I believe. I think that's our very last game. Chicago's going to want to rest that game. So that could be another pivotal game for us.
Well, they're not going to rest if we're tied with them for that 6th seed.
Well, that's true. But I think Yeah, so I would say it is dependent on health, but I have a sneaking suspicion that somehow we may see what I hope is a Celtics rematch, and I only hope it for it because I think that it would be a really good a matchup, a really good back and forth, a really good coaching back and forth. So that's who I would like from just an entertainment standpoint. But those are really the teams. I don't think that we're going to end up facing the Heat.
Well, you just said entertainment standpoint.
I don't
What
think
about actual
I don't think we're
standpoint?
facing the Bulls. Sorry, I don't see that Bulls game anyway.
I said the Bucks. I said 76ers, Bucks, and Celtics. You mean for the last game?
Yeah, I don't see that.
Oh, sorry,
anywhere.
my bad.
Okay.
We might have played it then.
Okay, but how do you think they would favor against the Bucks if they do beat Brooklyn? Because let's be honest right here. Can Kyrie Irving cross the border?
No.
Right? He might not be able to make it. He just passed the mandate.
Wait. So we're switching to play-in now. I thought we were talking about first round.
Yeah.
Well, first round. But right now where they're currently sitting at 7th.
Yeah. If they stay in 7th, they have to play Brooklyn. Yeah, that's a whole other
conversation.
conversation.
If they sit in 7th, yeah. But either way, I think that if they sit in 7th, just to get this out of the way, they have a good shot at beating. Oh, not a good shot, but they have a fair chance of beating Brooklyn. I know KD is KD, but the other guy has a bad back, and
he's
Kyrie
not playing
isn't
this
going to
year.
be there.
He's not playing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that moving past that. Yeah.
Sorry to jump in on this, but that's a good point because you look at that 7-8 matchup. Presumably, the 7 seed gets home court advantage. So that means Kyrie's out. So it's going to be KD. I mean, this is going to be fun, but it's going to be KD at Scotiabank Arena by himself against the Raptors fighting for that 7 seed. I'm still scared of that. Because KD's KD. But I think even if you lose that game, you get home court in the 8 seed game versus Charlotte or Atlanta or whoever. One of those two teams, whoever comes out of that matchup. Yeah. And then you said you don't think we're going to face Miami, but there's a real chance that if Brooklyn is able to beat us in that matchup, and we're able to fend off Charlotte or whoever, we would be the 8th seed and we would be facing Miami. Anyway, that's how we'd end up facing Miami, I think.
Hey, wouldn't that be nice to see Lowry come back to Toronto?
Yeah, well, that's
not in that circumstances. No, thanks.
But that's kind of the funny thing, right? If you want to talk about first round matchups. So basically, I think everything's really clumped up in the East, but I think there's kind of this clear division now between the top 4 and the bottom 4. And then obviously the playing teams are over here. But basically your top 4 are going to be Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly. So those are essentially, assuming the Raptors are a low seed, they're going to face one of those 4 teams. And you look at those 4 teams, those are some really juicy, interesting first round matchups, right? Because you go to Miami, you got the Lowry storyline. We played Miami in the playoffs, but it was a few years ago. So it's going to be mostly just like, if the Raptors can knock off Lowry, that would be hilarious. That would be
entertaining
for joy. And that'd be fun to have him come back and play Scotiabank, play first round. It'd be a little bittersweet, but whatever. It'd be fun. And then
Milwaukee always like Giannis. You know what he can do. That would be great to watch. Boston. I know how much you love Boston, Skip.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to say. That
would be interesting. And then Philadelphia to see Embiid cry again.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. So the Miami series, you got Lowry. That's a great matchup. The Philly series, you got Embiid. If they could knock Embiid out now that he's built this super team, that would be hilarious. And I got to say, I know they're better than they've looked, but the only 2 Philly games I've seen since the Harden trade were the game where they got boat raced by the Nets and the game they lost to the Raptors. So I'm sitting here I don't know if Philly's all that good right now. Anyway, I'm sure they
honestly, I don't think Philly's good enough.
Even in the 5th seed with Chicago, where they're currently standing, DeRozan.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. But that would also be be interesting.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so I was going to say,
cool.
There.
Sorry, I'm just going to go.
Cleveland, not to mention Cleveland sitting in 6th when you got the Rooks, Scotty, and Mobley.
Yeah. Well, there's always good matchups. But then I was going to go down the list, like Giannis, can you imagine if the Raptors, like, just going back to those top 4 seeds I was talking about
Have we
earlier.
lost a matchup in the playoffs to the Bucks?
I don't think so.
Nope.
We have not.
But it'd be hilarious. It'd be hilarious if we knocked Giannis out without Kawhi. It'd be hard, but I mean, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm scared of that matchup, obviously. And then who's the 4th team that I was talking about? Boston. I mean, Boston would be a rematch of that second round, and at the second round in the bubble, I mean. And even though I don't want to believe in Boston, but they're so good. They've been so good that it's hard not to. It would be nice just to see Siakam show up in that series, so that all the freaking Boston sports writers would stop shitting all over him, because they all remember that one series and they're like, Siakam sucks.
Well, you know what? I got to give some of the Boston guys credit. They've flipped it around, and a lot of them have actually sang Siakam's praises recently, which is nice to see. And I know not everyone who is going to watch the show is a big fan of Siakam. I'm a big fan of Siakam. So he's
on a whole different level than he was in that bubble playoffs. Like, it's not.
I think the bubble season was his all NBA season. He is playing better basketball now than then. His field goal percentage is up. His 3-point percentage is actually up, contrary to popular belief. It's up to the point where I said it should be for him to be an effective player, which I said 34 and above, which is league average. He's shooting 35 and a half, I believe.
And the passing too. I mean, he's a great.
Playmaking.
He's really just he's doing it.
Yeah, he's really reading the court now.
I mean, the Raptors all-star was Van Vliet, but I mean, Siakam is their best player, absolutely.
Yeah, like an underrated part of last year, which people don't appreciate because, it was last year, is the person who took on a lot of playmaking responsibilities down the stretch of games last year before everyone got shut down was Siakam. It was not actually Van Vliet. And so that's the thing, is you're seeing those reps come through now. You're seeing the playmaking. I would say the best 2 playmakers this year are Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes. And throughout the year, yes, well, Scotty Mystic Barnes, or I say Scotty Quantum Barnes, because I think he has a brain like a quantum computer.
How about Scotty Giannis Barnes?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think he's his own man. That's why I say Scotty Mystic instead of Scotty Magic Barnes. But there's a lot of similarities between him and guys like Giannis, and yet anyways, I don't want to make this to a Scotty podcast. We're off on a I think the point is that we've seen the playmaking ability, we've seen the chemistry, and when this team has been actually healthy this year, the record has been great. They've shown that they can show up. I don't like the Miami matchup just because I don't like the idea of a massive, to quote KG, a bar fight. You ever been in a bar fight?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Carlos has been in a bar fight.
The only way that the Raptors are going to win in the first round this year is by turning a series into a bar fight. Like that's how
I'd rather do a bar fight against. I do think that there are strategy ways that we can beat Miami. I'm not saying that we are a better team, so before anyone freaks out, but I'm just saying there are ways that we can schematically, plan against Miami. For example, Miami's best player is Jimmy. I think it's Bam, but it's Jimmy, and Jimmy can't shoot. Player. Yeah, he's the marquee player. Jimmy can't shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
He can't shoot from 3. So, and if you look at our games,
he's really been struggling with his shot this year. I think
he's really been struggling this year. If you look at the game that we had against him, that's what he does. He just drives in and then hopes for the best, tries to get calls. He doesn't get calls, then he doesn't get much. Calls go away, not entirely, but they go away in the playoffs. So it'd be a good matchup. I think the Embiid matchup would be interesting because to me, it's the ultimate test of, does positionless basketball have a chance? Even if they don't win the series, can they make it tough enough to make it a 6 or 7 game series to really say, okay, let's really see this experiment through? I think that there is a chance because outside of Embiid, who are you looking at? I know there's Harden, but
the thing is, if you look at those teams, Embiid and Giannis are MVPs, and MVPs show up in. I mean, I don't think Embiid's actually won an MVP.
Like how MVP. None of us are mentioning Harden.
Yeah. Well, and Harden too.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
That's okay.
Harden's like low-key washed. He's not fully washed, but he's low-key washed.
His game is not going to
properly, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Harden's game is not going to age well, and I think he has another year and a half, 2 years, in my opinion, even though they're going to give him a massive contract. And we saw it with the new rule changes, his game is completely it's not the same. But sorry, anyway, you were saying, Skip.
Yeah, I was saying, so if you look at those matchups, Giannis and Embiid are MVP candidates, and MVP candidates come to play in the playoffs. The Celtics and the Heat are a little bit more of the team concept, that lots of second, number 2 guys, number 3 guys who are great supporting casts, but are they really the marquee guy? Especially the Heat, because I think that with the Celtics, there's a much more specific pecking order with Tatum at the top. But yeah, so I think that's sort of
Smart.
What's that? Yeah, well,
sorry, I'm just
Anyway, I just think that if you were going to knock a team off, I think Miami would be the team to knock off. I think absolutely, if you meet Miami's intensity, if you meet their grit and their grime, and if you can find a way to sort of shut that tap off with some of the 3-point shooters, if you can find a way to stop Jimmy from getting in the paint, there's ways to beat Miami, is what I'm saying. I'm not sure that at the end of the day you can beat an Embiid or a Giannis without a really elite player on the roster. But I think you can beat a team like Miami. I think Boston's. It's hard for me to get a read on Boston, because I remember when they were terrible at the beginning of the year, and they've just kind of become this whole new next level type of team. But anyway, I just think Miami is sort of the team. If you're really targeting a top seed, that's the team you got to look at as the most vulnerable.
I was looking at entertainment.
So. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Both of you guys said it great there. Kenyon, you said schematically. Skip said that would be the ideal team. Now, what I'm talking about for entertainment purposes, okay, if the Miami Heat were to get knocked out by the Toronto Raptors, that opens it all up. That opens up the Eastern Conference to Milwaukee, Boston, Philly. Like
those teams are going to beat Miami anyway, but in the playoffs.
Personally, I don't think Boston can take Miami if they would play them. That's just me saying that, and I think Milwaukee would take Miami anyway. But it opens it up for the rest of the playoffs, which is where the Raptors are sitting currently at 7th as of this recording. Hopefully tonight, and I make some money on my bets, that they'll get into 6th. Okay. But I think the Raptors do have a chance to actually knock off some teams. The other question I got to ask you guys is, Skip, Kenyon, I'm going to ask you, because Skip and I already did talk about this previously, about how many wins the Raptors will end up with at the end of the season. I did say 42. Skip, you said what, 41?
I think I said about 42. I don't remember this was like 6 months ago, but I said 40 to 42 or something.
And they're pretty much there. So with 10 games left in the season, 8 of which are at home. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this because they haven't been doing good at home, right? 8 of which are at home. What do you think the Raptors record could be? Do you think they can get to 44, 45, 47? Which is where Miami is right now.
How many wins do we have today? I believe it's what, 39
I think we're sitting on 40. I think we
40
and 41 or
40 and 32.
Yeah.
40 and 32.
So I think I originally predicted 42 or 43. So similar to Skip. I'm gonna punch the over on that. And I would say they end up on
of course
44.
That's 4 and 6. That's only 4 and 6 down the stretch.
Yeah. And with the teams they've been playing.
Yeah, I would say either they go 4 and 6 or they okay. Either I might even go higher than that.
Yeah, go higher.
I might go higher than that. I'd have to look again. I don't think we play Detroit again. So
no, we don't.
But yeah, so I think that there's a good shot. It really just depends on injuries and how those injuries are managed. I don't think that Flynn's going to be back by the playoffs. I'm just going to be putting that out right there. That's just
hamstrings are funny, man. Like they can linger for months. Yeah.
Yes. And so I just think that's done. So it's really dependent on how they manage the Van Vliet injury. I know that OG was upgraded to I don't think he's playing tonight, but he was upgraded, and I think if you can get him back in a week, you know, and kind of make sure he doesn't play back to backs, it changes a whole lot of things, and that's why I'm saying like in the playoffs it's completely different because OG will come back. He didn't have a leg injury, so his cardio's up. You don't have to worry about him, you know, getting back in that, you know, sense of things. And he is, you know, practicing, you know, 1-on-1, 2-on-2s. So I think that there's a world where we definitely end up, you know, for sure above 45 wins. I'm not saying we get to like 50 wins.
Multiversal madness.
Yeah, 50 would be 10-0. I don't think we're going 10-0.
That's. But, I mean, that'd be nice, but it's not going to happen.
So, yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I think the Raptors are going to win most of their remaining games, whether that's 6-4 or 7-3 or whatever that is. That would put them 46, 47 wins. But you bring up a really good point about the injuries, and Brian was mentioning it earlier, and I didn't really get into it. The thing is, like you said with Flynn, hamstrings can linger. Then you go to Van Vliet. That leg is not getting better. He's been kind of a mess since the All-Star break. They're playing him still because they need his shooting, but he's not the same defender. He's not the same driver. He's not the same a lot of things. He's not even getting back.
Mom's heartbroken.
He's not even getting back on defense in some transition plays. Like he can barely run on that thing. And that's not going to get better before the playoffs. It's not going to get better in the playoffs. So that's a major, major concern. Even OG, they said the finger isn't really responding the way they'd hoped. I think when he comes back, you can basically expect that he's not going to be. I mean, he's still going to be OG Anunoby, but probably there might be some shooting issues there if the finger isn't bouncing back the way he'd hoped. So that's kind of a lingering thing. And now we got Gary Trent with this toe injury, which again, like a hyperextended toe, that's not necessarily an injury you come all the way back from in a week. You might be playing on it in a week, but like you're still going to be. You're still going to be a bit gimpy on it. That's all I'm saying. So going back to our original question of this whole video, which is what seed are the Raptors going to end up in, right? Do you really want to rush all these guys back to chase a 6 seed? Like what is the value added proposition of that?
Right? I don't think that they have to. Yeah, so I just don't think that they have to rush the guys back to chase the 6 seed. I think that the teams in front of you, they're because it's not just us; they also have injuries too. Yeah. Right. So like I said, the Bulls have major injuries. Yeah. Sorry, I just got distracted for a second. So yeah, Bulls have major injuries, and the Cavs losing Jared Allen. That's a major loss. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But in my mind, I think that there's a very fair chance that we still end up with the 6th. I just, like you're alluding to, I want to make sure that we, for example, when OG comes back, don't play him back-to-backs. I like the strategy with Van Vliet. Don't play him back-to-backs for sure. And if we can get, GTJ back, I would actually consider sitting Van Vliet for half of the remaining games, just straight up, just half.
Skip.
Yep.
You just posed a really good question there. And my response to you is, no, do not rush these guys. There's no freaking need to, okay? The Raptors are playing positionless team ball, okay? They do have a good structure. I do have faith in Nick Nurse, okay, and the coaching structure that they have there that's already set up. I don't think they need to rush it. And yes, Kenyon, I will agree with you based on that they should get the 6th, mainly because I might win a couple bucks on that since I called it since the beginning of the season. But I honestly do see it when I'm looking at this team. They're playing like a team. And when you guys are speaking about the injuries, yes, there is Freddie, there is OG, there is Gary Trent, there's Malachi. There's also Utah, who's still not been the same since his injury. You know, Pascal was injured early in the season. There's been a lot of setbacks for this team, but they have responded back as a team. Like you said earlier, Skip, MVPs show up. Well, so do teams. My favorite team of all time has nobody on the top 75, which is the 04 Pistons, right? Play as a team, right? And I do think they have the ability to do that and to get to that 6th seed because, hey, let's be quite honest. You know, the ambassador might just make a song about that. We're in the 6th seed, right?
So
you know that might happen somewhere out of nowhere. I don't know. But this has been a great conversation, guys. We're constrained for time. So, Kenyon, absolutely, it's always been a pleasure. Do you have anything left that you would like to just put out there for anybody?
You know what? With this hat on, I can't bet against the Raptors. That's all I'll say.
Black and red team, eh, baby?
Yeah.
Right? Great minds think alike. Skip, do you have anything left that you would like to say to the people out there?
I
And
just
by the
want
way,
to say,
thank you guys for watching if you're sticking around till at this point.
I just want to say 5th seed, 6th seed, 7th seed, it doesn't really matter. This year is about development. This year is about having fun. This year is about seeing Scottie become the superstar that the Raptors need in the future. Getting ready for next year. The song is developing Precious Achua for next year. And remember, there are 10 games left. We got Danny Green coming back to get his ring. Finally get his ring.
Finally!
This week. We got Lowry's return this week, coming up like next week. So, I mean, we should just enjoy these last 10 games. And I mean, as long as they don't go like 0-10 or something, like as long as they go 500, keep their spot, keep everything under control. I don't think we should sweat this last stretch of the season. They're going to be in the play-in tournament. They're going to be in the playoffs, one of the two. Even if it's the play-in tournament, they'll probably still hang on to one of those seeds. So let's just enjoy the last couple weeks of the season and say it's been a successful season one way or the other.
Yep. A lot of people have been out there. I see you guys online. Kenyon, I know you're on some of these pages where you see it, where people are saying, blow it up, get rid of everybody. Blah, blah. Don't be spoiled. The Raptors, this, no matter what, like Skip just said, it is a successful season. And like he just said, in the words of The Rock, it doesn't matter. So, on behalf of myself, Skip, and the one and only Kenyon Nisbett, I can't wait to enunciate that on the show at some point, brother. On behalf of all three of us, we hope you guys enjoy this. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, get us up there. That's a giveaway for you. There are more giveaways after that, so let's get to the first one and then keep going. So on behalf of all three of us, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
Peace.